Hey guys, another video. This will be my third video of the day. I'm going to try to stagger these, but I got nominated by Kevin Creedon, and Kevin, I'm grateful and I appreciate this for my top 5 fantasy casting, and I'm going to go through them. I am going to pull a Pooch, and I'm not going to nominate anyone simply because everyone seems to have been taken, and it was, I think it's run its course. Sick Diecast started this, and I will put a link to his site, and hopefully guys can go over there and tell him Troy sent you. So I want to go through this real quick. These are my top 5 fantasy castings. And I would like to start a new trend, and we'll get into that. So, top 5 fantasy casting, one of the cards that hasn't been picked yet, and it's always been cool. I've been hesitant to open it up because I don't know what I want to do with it. But this one is Fast Fuse. I think it was from the 2004 lineup, where they had the little flattened cars. But I've always loved the way this thing looks. It's got the little space bubble effect. It's got a kind of cool looking engine with a wide air intake, but you can see the headers on it. I'm sorry, the cam covers. I did a little treatment with fine tip Sharpie to kind of key in the details on the air intake and the crevice on the doors. But I've always been a fan of this. So that's number 5, the Fast Fuse. Number 4, I'm a fan of the open body 32 type early 30s or 40s hot rods, and this is the Shift Kicker. It's basically a 29. It looks like a Model A body with an overcharged engine and a Ratfink stick shift kind of busting through the roof there, which is always pretty cool. So the Real Rider version. I think it is not. I thought it was going to be one of Larry's signature cars. But that's number 4. Number 3 follows along the lines. This is not the fantasy casting, but it's in these lines. But Playing Mantis came out with these caricaturized hot rods with blown engines. It's pretty cool. This was the 65 Ford. Again, the wheels are free axle. Another example here was this one. Super detailed engine, like over the top scale. I think this is like 1/24th scale with a 1/64th body, but nice big fat tires. Mickey Thompson specials. The problem with these cars is all the little chrome pieces, they just had a tendency to pop out or fall apart. Hot Wheels line included cars like this with the Mustang. And another one, this is actually one of my favorites, is the 64 El Camino. But the one that is number 3 is the Pontiac GTO Judge, the 69 Pontiac GTO Judge version. And this was the basic casting of this car. This is just awesome. It's over-the-top scaling, big wheels in the back. You can see through the spoiler in the rear. And it just harkens back to the early, or I guess mid-70s Matchbox car that was like that. Number 2, kind of go through some variations here, but it's going to be the 57 Chevrolet. And it's not this version of the 57, which was it's a new release, or newer release of the 57. It's true 1/64th scale. The detail is pretty good, but I'm talking about this version, which came out in the late 70s with the blown engine. The reason it's a fantasy casting is because, in contrast to the actual car, you can see the wheel openings are rather high, whereas with the true 57, it kind of sloop back and allow for the arc to go through. It's got a kind of a California rake to it, so it's not really a true casting of a 1957 Chevrolet. It's more caricaturized, so I included this as a fantasy casting. And there's been different variations. Here's one with the engine as it was released in the early 70s. This is the police version, plastic base. Kind of a cool little car. Another version here. Actually, this is not the same version. This is the 57 Chevy Roadster, which I've always thought was in the same lines. So that's kind of cool. And my number one fantasy casting is the Tire Fryer. Very cool car. Hot Wheels went out of their way for some innovative looks. This is the one where the rear of the body sloops forward, and you see the engine there. A lot of their dragsters were front engine cars. I think they hit it out of the park with this one. So that is my fantasy casting. So what I'd like to do, and I think it's a good idea because you don't have to call anybody out. You don't have to give them a name. I'd like for anyone in the customizing market, not necessarily someone who is, you know, a professional, but someone out there that's just getting started. And in fact, I take back what I said. I'm going to call you out, Kevin Creedon, because I think this is something that you can definitely do. You and William Witters. Hot Wheels does have a tendency to put out some crappy castings, some crappy cars. On this video, I'll include a link to a video the Pooch made about the Carbonator and what he thought of the Carbonator. And it's kind of comical what he did with the Carbonator. He set it on fire. So my challenge to you guys in the community, the customizing community, is make it better Monday. Post a video of what you think is, two parts to this. What you think is a crappy casting, not necessarily the worst, but a crappy casting, and how would you make it better? An example of the crappy castings is the Hulk Smasher. It's a fantastic looking truck with a bunch of what the hell is going on there. I got it because it was pretty good, a cool base for transports and everything. But make it better Monday. And the first car I'm going to do, I'm actually going to post a video on this, maybe not this Monday, but the Monday after, is the Papa Wheelie. This casting came out looking like this. I bought it because I felt like I hadn't bought one yet. I thought maybe the engine was more detailed further in. I was wrong. This car here, what made it notorious was it was a three-wheel car. The engine was in the back, and it had just one wheel here in the middle. And it was notorious for popping wheelies, and it was a very dangerous car. But what I was thinking about doing, if it were me, I'm going to set it up to be a three-wheel car using the existing chassis. And I am going to show you what I'll do to make this a functional front wheel. So I got a couple things. So that's the challenge. I'd like to see you guys in the community start posting videos. Make it better Monday, and pick a crappy casting and tell me what you would do to make it better. One more example was someone took this particular casting and actually changed the front axle to the wheels to the actual opening, and it kind of looked cool. So that's my challenge. Kevin, get on it. Happy cracking, guys.